Daddy, can I see the computer screen?
All righty, I think we're good. Kaz, do you want to give the introduction?
Okay, sorry, you caught me off guard there, Javi. But yeah, and of course, this is the second time Chris has been on here for us. And we're just trying to give a really well-rounded educational plan and information to our players in terms of strength training in very difficult times. Obviously, we can't use the gym. We can't do group training. So, we had Bobby on last week. And, of course, Bobby is very familiar to both myself and Chris since we worked with him at Pima last year. And now Chris will give some more information regarding strength training, in particular, again, at home with limited access to equipment to not just maintain, but I think the theme for the week from all our guest speakers is that everybody who is at home now should come out of these weeks or months much better in some areas. So in a lot of cases, stronger, fitter, and technically, on especially individual skills, better than they were when this all went down because they have so much time to work on it. So, I really hope we're paying attention and taking this information because certainly if you go out and you work 3 or 4 days a week on your strength, you can't but improve your strength. And without having, real hard training sessions, it's a perfect time to work on your individual strength. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Dave, real quick, sorry for the question. What did Bobby speak on last week?
I'll let Javi answer that. I was in and out last week a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Javi, what did he speak on last week? I don't want to.
No, you're fine. So what Bobby decided to talk about last week was the progression of sprints. So how to train and stretch and be effective during this quarantine time to do things at the house. So that way when you go back on the field, you don't go at 100% and pull a hamstring or something.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Chris, they also focused on the FIFA 11.
Oh, that's great because I'll have some stuff that kind of goes with some of that. Awesome. Yep. Thank you. All right. So for those of you who are joining tonight, thanks for being here. I got 2 girls in the background eating dinner, so if you hear some noises, I'll apologize in advance. But so if you guys have a pen and paper, you can pull it out so that you can take some notes. At the end of it, I'll have listed my email address and the contact phone number. So if you guys have questions about some of the stuff, I have a list, but I have a couple little videos for you to see some specific exercises. But due to the time and my lack of kind of video knowledge and stuff in this presentation, but I will be able to send you videos of all of these exercises if you guys contact me after this. So feel free to do that at the end. And then you can get on the chat at the end for some question and answer that we can go ahead and take care of. Okay, so I'm going to try and cover some strength and conditioning. For you guys, I'll cover some basic information and then what some of those goals should be. And then at the end, I'll cover specific exercises that and core muscle groups that I'd recommend you guys focusing on. Okay, so for those of you guys who haven't joined me before, work for me. Quick bio, my name's Chris Murphy. I'm an athletic trainer. Played soccer years ago. Currently, I'm a certified athletic trainer which specializes in prevention of injury, treatment, evaluation, and rehabilitation of athletes. I serve as an athletic trainer from the high school to Major League Baseball and currently full-time at Pima. I work with some youth athletes in the sugar schools, okay? Oh, sorry. I'm too, this is my technology savvy for you, okay? So the question is, when should you strength train? And I put lift weights because strength training and lifting weights is one and the same, all right? My answer to that is, you should do it year-round, depending on your age. So the general rule of thumb on age is usually the beginning of high school. So high school season is when you'd really, or high school years is when you'd really start to concentrate on strength training. But some people maybe hit puberty a little bit earlier in life and they can start some of that. So that pubic stage of growth is kind of that threshold of when you'd make some of those decisions on strength training, okay? And there's different goals that you would have for strength training in the season or year, right? We talked last time I was on and we talked about preseason. So during the preseason, you'd work on like an endurance or maintaining some of the stuff you have, which is lasting a couple weeks. So you'd have lighter loads, meaning lighter weight and higher reps during the preseason. In season, you can work on anything it is that you're trying to, work on. You can work on some high reps. You can work on power. You can work on strength, depending on where you are in the season. And then off season, we talked about 2 weeks ago, is whatever your individual goals are. So if you need to become more powerful, you need to become stronger, maybe it's a combination of all of it. You concentrate differently on those. And that all depends on kind of your weight that you lift and the reps that you do, what that volume looks like, okay? And you always have lighter lifting or tapered lifting heading into a high game or practice volume of a season. So if you're heading into a big time tournament, you're heading into lots of games or high practice volumes, you need to make sure your lifting starts to kind of taper off a little bit, okay? And at the end of it, my recommendation is that you always listen to your body. Your body's gonna speak to you, you gotta listen to it. Now there's a fine line of not being tough enough to get through something or having some grit in you, or you have gone too far, okay? So try and pay attention to whatever it is that the body's talking about in those things, okay? So the next one I have is, what are your goals of strength training? So we answered when you should do it, and it's year round. Now, what is it that your goals are, okay? At the end of the day, if you're just starting off with strength training, this is your first experience with it, you need to make sure that you're working with someone who's trained in strength training that will make sure that they teach you exactly how to do lifts, okay? There are certain lifts that are important, and you need to make sure that you have perfect technique before you can move on to increasing weight, because if you don't, you're going to hinder the body and you're going to create injury. So that's utmost important, is making sure that you have appropriate technique, okay? There's really 3 areas of strength training that are goals. You have endurance goals, meaning you want to get the muscles in shape stronger but last longer. You want to have strength goals, which means that at the end of the day, you're stronger. You can not get knocked off the ball. You can push people around a little bit. And that makes you a better soccer player, because in the length of a season, you're going to have decreased chances of injury, okay? And then you have a power and explosion strength training, and that's ultimately being able to be faster than anybody else, jump higher than anybody else, within those, okay, we have different rules of them. So in endurance, you have decreased volume, so less weight and higher reps. So the weight amount means that by the end of your rep count, you're having a hard time pulling that off, okay? So if you're doing squats, and you're going to do 20 squats, and you're going to do body weight, by the time you get to the 20th squat, it should be hard. It should be challenging, okay? So you need to make sure that when you're doing that, at that 20th rep, it's fatiguing for you. So maybe you need to add weight, or if you can't get to it, you need to decrease weight. And that's if you're trying to get the muscle into shape, all right? If you're trying to ultimately gain strength, you want to have a really high weight load and a low repetition load. So your reps should be between 2 repetitions and 8 repetitions. And when you do a strength with perfect technique, okay, it doesn't matter how long it takes in the strength phase to get from point A to point B. So if you're doing a squat and you're standing up and you squat down to where your knees are at 90 degrees, okay, and you try and go back up, it doesn't matter if it takes you 5 seconds to get from that low position to that high position. It just matters that you do it, okay? So by the time you get to the rep 6, 7, or 8, and you're shaking, you're struggling, and you get it done, your goal is to get stronger, okay? The body's going to respond to that. And if you can't do it, say you get to your 3rd set and you're doing the 6th rep and you fail, you can't stand up and you're doing a squat, okay? That's not bad. As an athlete, the challenge in that situation is you don't like failure, right? You feel like you didn't get done what you needed to get done. But when we're trying to get our body to produce more muscle fibers and recruit more muscle fibers to be able to get the job done, you need to sometimes have failure, okay? So it's okay in the strength phase to go ahead and get to failure. Okay, you don't want to fail in your first set. You probably want to fail in your 3rd set or your 4th set. But understand that in the strength phase, it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to do the exercise, just as long as you get it done. Okay, And then in the power and explosion phase, you're going to again have higher weight and a low to medium repetition count. But the ultimate goal of this phase is how quickly can you go from point A to point B, okay? So if you're trying to work on power and explosion, and say you're working on your lower extremities, instead of just doing a squat, maybe you go from a squat to a squat jump where you're squatting down and you explode from that low position as high and as fast as you can get up, right? And then you land and you do it again, because you're trying to do that as fast as possible. You're trying to recruit fast twitch muscles. And at the end of the day, the difference between an elite athlete and an average athlete is how, especially in a sport like soccer, how quickly can you get from point A to point B? If you can beat someone from point A to point B, you're going to win the ball every time, right? If you're a goalkeeper and you can get from point A to point B every time, you're going to make more saves than the person who can't, right? So I think in your off season, the two phases that I would recommend most people to work on would be the strength phase, or the strength component, and the power component, a combination of both, okay? And the challenge in this presentation is, in my opinion, the challenge anyways, is how do we give you guys that correct formula to do it, okay? And so at the end, again, if you have lots of questions for this, I can give you better formulas than what I produce in this because of some time constraints, all right? So those are the simple formulas to gain what it is that you want to do it. So you're not just going into the workout every time doing the same thing. Sorry about this. What do you need for success in strength training? Perfect technique. We talked about at the beginning, right? You need to train your body in multiple planes. So it's not just standing straight forward. If I'm doing a squat, I need to be able to do a squat with my legs split a little bit. Okay. We need to make sure, because in sports, you don't just stand in one place. We don't just lift in one place. We got to be able to run straight forward. We got to run side to side, and we got to be able to run diagonal and sometimes some rotation. Okay. You always need to make sure you have great nutrition intake, right? If you lift and you don't eat well afterwards, now you're just breaking down your body and you're not rebuilding. And that's not the goal of strength or power phases. You need to make sure that you have appropriate nutrition and eating appropriately through that process, okay? You need to make sure you have the correct rest and recovery between sessions. If you guys lift 5 days a week, is your body having enough time to rebuild its muscle tissue so that it can perform the activities the next day, okay? When you're lifting, you don't want to be lifting your quads one day on a Monday and your quads again on a Tuesday and your quads again on a Wednesday. We're overloading that tissue, and at that point, if we don't recover those tissues and those muscle groups, we're going to have damage and we're going to take steps back. The last thing you want in this off-season phase you guys are in is to take steps backwards, okay? Always sleep is on the list. I know that in these different times where our schedules are a little bit off, sometimes it's a challenge. You guys stay up late, you wake up late, etc. Make sure that you guys are making sure you get 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night, okay? And ultimately, have patience with the process, okay? There's a saying, Rome wasn't built overnight. It takes time to get your body to gain strength and gain muscle. It takes time, all right? So if you expect it to be a gain overnight from Monday to Friday to really see some differences, it will improve, but I don't think it's going to be at the level most people want, right? If you're doing it the right way. And then I put on there, don't be a hero. My mentor always says, don't be a hero. Don't do too much right now, okay? There's going to be increments you move forward. If you try and do too much, you're going to end up injured. You're going to take some steps back, and that's ultimately the last thing that you guys want, okay? I got to wake my mouse up here. It fell asleep. Yes, Emerson. Oh. Sorry, I got a girl talking to me in my ear. Okay, what's that? Yes, go ahead. Okay, here's my disclaimer. I did not provide any research information to this, okay? This is a lot of my information, in my opinion, and my experience, all right? I can provide you information that supports it. I have a picture of one good document that's out there, okay? The most important muscle groups for you guys to train as soccer athletes, all right, is these are all lower extremities. So this is from the waist down, all right? Some of these will incorporate other muscles, but ultimately it's for that. I put posterior or back of the lower leg. Ultimately, that's your calf. You have two muscles that are in your calf. You have your gastrocnemius, which is the muscle that everybody sees when they flex their calf, okay? And then you have your soleus. I put soleus in red because this is the one muscle group that most people don't train in a weight room, and ultimately it's the #1 muscle used for explosion as an athlete, all right? I treated an athlete today, and he has soleus issues, and we talked about some exercises which we'll cover, okay? But the soleus muscle, you can highlight it if you wrote it down, is the muscle that I really recommend in the calf, all right? All muscles that are surrounding your ankle, I'll give you some exercises to surround your ankle. They're just necessary for you guys to be able to stay balanced and have success as a soccer player, okay? The groin muscles, which are your adductors inside your leg, and your sartorius muscle, your hamstrings, backside of your leg, and your quadriceps, all right? This is my opinion that these specific muscle groups are most important for you guys to train in this off season, okay? Now, I'm gonna cover each one of these, and I got basically a video per muscle group for you guys to work on so that you guys can add to this. And I got some exercises that I'll pause on it that you can write down the name of the exercise and Google those pictures or videos that are on each one of those so that you can add that to your guys' routine, okay? But I put the ones that are a little bit more challenging for you on here, okay? So I hope this works out. I tested a little bit, but be patient with me as I present this, all right? The posterior lower leg, straight leg calf raises, which means you're just standing on your toes and your heels come off the ground. You do those with your toes, you're straight forward, your toes are in, and your toes are out. You do all 3 of those directions. It hits all the planes that we talked about earlier, okay? And I have on here a video of the bent knee calf squat, and there's a lunge one where you would do as well, which you can just contact me and we'll get it taken care of, okay? But the bent calf raise is one that is the soleus muscle, which we talked about just a few minutes ago. It's the #1 muscle that I would recommend for you guys to go ahead and make sure that you present into it, okay? So this is gonna be a video of what that bent squat goes like, okay? You can see that he's up against the wall right now. He's about 45, and he's just gonna go up onto his toes, all right? So just like I talked about with your legs straight, you can do these with your toes forward, you can do them with them in, you can do them with them out, all right? So you're just gonna go up and down just like that. It's really simple. You can do this anywhere in your house. You can do it at the park. If you're up against the wall, you can do it where you're just balancing on that process, okay? So that guy is the bent knee. Let's see how this turns out. All right, okay? And that's one that I recommend into your lower legs as a necessity for you guys to be lifting, all right? There's 2 in the ankle. One of them has to do with balance. I put, if anyone knows what a Bosu ball is, a dyna disc. Emerson, can you turn that down? Thank you. Folded towels or a trampoline, okay? And then some resisted inversion, eversion, and dorsiflexion. You can Google all this stuff, or you can email me and I'll show you guys videos separately. I'll send you links to all this stuff, right? But ultimately, if they talked about the FIFA 11, some of these side hops are on the FIFA 11. Okay, so here's my next video for you guys, which provides some more exercises for you to do. And I can send you these video links if you contact me at the end, or possibly just send this presentation to you guys and you can scroll through it. So here's some balance work. It's a simple tape that was provided on a floor. You can put it in this shape, and this is something you should be doing with both ankles. We do this in rehab with our athletes at Pima all the time. This is highly recommended for everybody to do. I recommend you do this in your cleats. I recommend you can do this at the park, but you can see that she's simply bent. She's gonna lean forward and sideways as far as she can. This works the total lower leg at the end of the day, but we're working on those ankle muscles in a good position, strength-wise, and knowing where they are in space. And so you can do this exercise. You can go through that like 4 or 5 times and then switch legs and do like 3 or 4 sets of what that looks like. And so that's a recommendation for that. And then let's see if I can click this next one for you guys. Sorry for the back and forth so much. This is my lack of technology savvy components. So here's another exercise. And this is just back and forth. So you can see this guy's at a park. There's a line that's already there from a field or whatever. You can do these side to side, front to back. You can do these at diagonal and make sure you do it. But just doing that for 30 seconds at a time, right foot, left foot, I would even recommend that you guys are adding this into your warm-up routine as a proprioceptive component to your ankle to prevent. This ultimately is going to gain strength, but this is a massive injury prevention exercise that everybody, in my opinion, should have into their routine that exists. So it's very simple. It's side to side. You can do it for 30 seconds. You can do it for 15 seconds. It's really up to you guys is kind of what you do it. And you can challenge somebody. If you go to the park with your sibling or a teammate, you guys can make these a little bit more fun with some competition, okay? I put on there groin. There's some resisted side leg kicks. So the next slide that I have is a picture of some exercises for the groin, okay? And the top two is called the Copenhagen plank, okay? And this can be done on a bench. It can be done on a soccer ball. It can be done on a Bosu ball, okay? But ultimately, a lot of you guys have probably played the sport long enough to sustain a groin injury, all right? You can put weights on your hip. You can make this higher so it's a little more challenging. You get to push yourself as much as possible, but ultimately, at the bottom of the picture, it's someone who's sidelining pictures 1A and 1B. They start, and all they're trying to do is lift their leg up into the air, okay? This is a good warm-up for you guys to be able to activate that groin muscle. And then the top two are them just working on a plank and an eccentric load. So when they go from the position of 2A to 2B, okay, that should take 1 to 2 seconds. It should be fairly quick. You're able to bring your leg up and sustain that. As you go from 3A to 3B in that picture, that should double in its time frame and should take 4 seconds. And that lengthen, the active lengthening of that muscle is going to dynamically strengthen that muscle, and it's going to make that into an injury prevention component, okay? So I recommend that these are two exercises ultimately that are done, but remember 2A to 3B, you have 2 seconds up and 4 seconds back. And this is a great article that was produced on some injury prevention specific to soccer players, and I highly recommend that this is added into your guys' routine on a groin component, okay? Next, I have hamstrings. Bobby spoke to you guys last week, and he introduced me to the Russian hamstring curls that we implement a lot of our hamstring rehab with, okay? But here's 4 exercises that I recommend for you guys. The bottom 3, you guys can write down so that you guys can add into your routines and see appropriate video of what those look like. But they're all amazing for you to be able to progress into hamstring strength. Probably the gold standard for what hamstring strength looks like, and it's produced by a female soccer player in this video that I chose, is the Russian hamstring curl. It's extremely dynamic. This will not only help with hamstring preventative strength, but there's research out that this will increase your top speed and your sprinting and explosion speed by increasing this hamstring exercise. So this is called the Russian hamstring curl. It's extremely dynamic and not easy to be able to be pulled off, okay? So you'll just watch this girl do a couple of these. You can do this by putting your feet underneath like a couch if you're at home, or do it with a partner. Sometimes there's a lot of YouTube videos on the Russian hamstring. You can see how they set it up a couple different ways in different areas, okay? But she's gonna lean forward and then come back, and notice as she goes up, you know, it's a little bit quicker. She's trying to go, and then as she comes down, it's a little bit slower. So she goes slow, stops, and then she fires up, okay? So you wanna make sure this is nice and controlled. A lot of the time, when this activity is done, it feels like your hamstring's gonna cramp, okay? And it might sometimes, especially when it's nice and weak, okay? But it doesn't usually happen. So it's usually just the fact that you guys are out of shape and your hamstring's not ready to be so dynamic. So all the videos I'm showing you on the strength component side of this is what I would recommend for sure added into the lower extremity. And they're all 100% on injury prevention. Sorry guys, I have technical difficulties here. Gotta cancel that out. All right. I'm back. Okay, so then the last group that I have is the quads. And I'm pulling that up right now for you guys. So quadriceps, something we use, but normally in the world of soccer, it's naturally used, it's naturally worked. So specifically working on that really in the strength phase, unless you've had an injury, is not important, because all the running and jumping and kicking that naturally happens in soccer, these normally are kind of naturally worked. But I added the opposite of a Russian hamstring approach we call a Russian quad curl. I put down here as a kneeling quad strengthening, because you can find that easier on YouTube when you search it. But I would add on there multi-directional lunges, broad jumps, which can really work on your explosion and power, box jumps, both single leg and both leg, squats, single leg squats, and wall sits. All of those can be done at your house. You guys can be creative enough to do it. You don't even need a box to jump on. If you're doing a box jump, you can just squat down and explode up as hard as you want. And broad jumps, all you need is space to have your feet and jump forward as fast as hard as you can. But here's an example of what I'd call the kneeling quad strengthening. And this is extremely dynamic. This could be added to your warm-up every single day, but definitely needs to be added to any type of strength. And if you guys have to add weight to this because you guys are trying to push your strength, the Nordic quad, this Nordic hamstring and Nordic quad, it's exact opposite of what you guys just saw. He's going to lean back as far as he can, and then he's going to explode up, okay? A lot of you guys have done some form of this if you do some form of heading or something like that as you're progressing as a youth and you come up, right? So I'll show it again. Just notice how slow he goes back as he comes up, nice and controlled. He's doing this on his own. Your body weight can maintain this. It's something you can do in your living room while you're watching TV and you're bored, right? So this is another exercise that I would just recommend that you guys add to your plate. But if you're out there and you guys are doing these and you need to make it a little more challenging, all you do is you hold some form of weight on your chest. And if you're able to hold that on your chest, you're able to make it more dynamic. I know that in these times, maybe you guys don't have weights that are at your house, but you know, if you hold water bottles in your hands, you guys hold rocks in your hands, you guys hold some of those things. You can be creative to do it, or you put stuff into a bag or a backpack. You take a gallon jug, you fill it up with water, stick it in your backpack. You're already going to add 5 pounds to your workout, okay? So I guess that kind of concludes my presentation for you guys. If you guys want to ask questions at this point, and if you have questions, you can email me. There's my Gmail account. My phone number is listed. If you guys have questions, you can call me or shoot me a text, and I can try and respond to them. I can get you guys some more information on some specific lifting and some specific programs that I'd recommend for you guys if you so choose. But if you have any questions, you can either unmute and ask, or you can put it in a chat, and you guys can ask it, and I'll give you a few minutes to answer whatever it is that you might bring my way. Happy Friday. Oh, sorry.
Hey, Murph, we have a question from Sydney. Sydney, go ahead and ask Chris your question.
I was just wondering, what are some good lower back exercises? Because I feel like your lower back can help with legs, like are connected.
It can, for sure. You know, as an athlete, you always want to work the front and the back. So if we're going to work lower back, you always want to work your abs as well. And I'm sure most of you guys know some form of an ab workout. But probably the two most effective low back exercises that you can do at your house, in my opinion, would be a deadlift. And that was covered in the hamstrings. So that covers low back and hamstring. And the other one would be called Supermans. And Supermans are where you lay on your stomach and you bring your legs in the air, straight leg, and your arms in the air, straight forward, as if you're trying to fly like Superman. So for low back, those are the two that I would recommend to be dynamic and work on.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Murphy, this is Walter. Just a question along the same lines. What kind of core stuff can be added to what you've already recommended with the legs and the back?
Oh man, that's a loaded question because the list is really long. But I think ultimately for you guys at home, really working on like planks. So on your stomach planks to where you're on your elbows and your toes, on your side to where on your right side and on your left side, and holding those for a standpoint where you're really trying to tuck your belly button to your spine and holding those for a sustained amount of time are probably the most effective on true core stability right now. So planks are probably what I would add to that the most. Everybody can do crunches all day long to get their six pack, but the six pack is great in a month or by Sunday, but it's not going to make you necessarily a great soccer player, but you need to have that core to lock down on everything else. So planks forward and on both sides. Next question.
Lena and Gabby, I'm not sure. Is it both of you, either one of you? Go ahead, Chris, your question.
What are good diet tips when trying to gain muscle?
Well, Lena, first of all, congratulations on becoming an Aztec.
Thank you.
And so the most important information, in my opinion, on gaining muscle is making sure that your eating times post-workout are appropriate. So you should consume nutrition after you work out within 30 minutes to an hour and a half, okay? So in that time frame, you wanna make sure that you consume food. And in it, you wanna make sure that that consumes protein. So you wanna make sure you're eating right after you lift or work out. And then you need to make sure that you eat as many grams of protein as what you weigh. So if you weigh 130 pounds, you want to make sure that you are consuming 130 grams of protein. So if you don't know what a gram of protein is, you're going to have to pick up your next protein bar and look at the nutrition label. It'll tell you how many grams are in it, and you'll just have to do some simple math. So pull out your smart device and get the calculator and start to add up how many grams of protein you are. And you can start asking your parents, like if you eat a 3 ounce of chicken or whatever the size of that protein would be, start Googling what that is in grams of protein, and you can start to figure out if you're consuming enough. If you don't have enough of that protein in your system, you're gonna have muscle loss and maybe not as effective on muscle gain, okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Khalil, you have a question for Chris?
Yeah, I was wondering, for at least what you see like in the college level, how many grams of sugar do soccer athletes usually take a day?
Too much. Listen. I don't have an actual number for you on that. I think society it's higher than it needs to be. All I can say on that aspect is one thing that we did collegiately is we took over the nutrition program so that we could better know what our athletes' decisions making were going to be on some nutrition most days. Obviously, when you're at your apartment or you're at home, you make that up, get your own decision. But you stumped me because I don't have any idea what the grams of sugar would be by a collegiate soccer player. Sorry.
You're fine. Thank you, though.
Next question. I'm ready, I think.
If you have any questions, go ahead and just place it in the chat, or just go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask Chris.
When doing these workouts, do you think it's beneficial to also incorporate like a good cardio in between the days that you work out?
Not necessarily if your ultimate goal is to like increase strength. Okay. Now you're a soccer athlete, so running is necessary, especially when you're in season. I think that in between those workouts, it's most important if you like wake up really sore to do maybe like mild to moderate cardio for like 20 to 30 minutes, which helps flush the system and take some of that soreness out. But, you know, I wouldn't recommend necessarily going out and running 3 or 4 miles every single time in between. That would be more of an in-season workout because you're really trying to keep your legs underneath you. But definitely in between, like doing a moderate 20-minute cardio workout and some good stretching and maybe yoga, some of those forms to increase flexibility would be recommended more than a big-time fitness workout.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Chris, you hit an important word that I've heard often talked about, and that's stretching. Now that, you know, these athletes are older, can you talk a little bit about the importance of stretching?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's necessary. So research says that if you can be as strong as possible in the biggest range of motion, you will be able to produce the most power, okay? So if you have a small range of motion and flexibility, we'll take hamstrings, for instance, and we'll take maybe like a sprinter that exists, you know. The top level sprinters that exist in the world will train for 6 to 7 hours a day. And their training sometimes is 2 hours of just flexibility work because they need to make sure that they can produce as much power through that full range of motion. So really it should be taken care of at any point, but you know, anytime you decrease your range of motion and try to be explosive, at some point in a soccer game, you're going to overextend to try and get a ball, or you're going to be pushed, or you're going to try and reach, or whatever that is. And when you take that muscle past its normal range of motion, you put it at risk for injury. So working on your flexibility probably is something I should have put into the presentation, especially in off season. It could be done. And I see you guys' names on this presentation, and there's a number of you guys I've worked with, and I talk about flexibility and maintenance, especially when you guys are post-workout. One of the challenges you guys have as youth athletes is practice ends, let's get in the car, let's go home, right? Instead of factoring into that what a cool down really looks like. These muscle groups that you guys that I put on that, before you work them out and after you work them out, you should be definitely working on that flexibility, because that preps that muscle group for whatever activity you're about to go through. It's part of that mental and physical preparation. I hope that answered that, Walter.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Let's see. Khalil, is that you? You have a question about ankle stretching?
Yeah. Do you know anything like the best stretches for the ankle?
Sure. Sorry, that's a question that's tough to answer over video chat. So if you're able to shoot me an email and ask the same question, I can respond in some picture forms to be able to show you exercises to work on ankle flexibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there are some specific exercises that are like my go-tos when I'm working with an athlete with some ankle stuff. But short of my positioning to be able to jump up and show you right now, which isn't happening, I'll be able to shoot you some diagrams with some instruction to answer that. But there are quite a few that are great. Good question.
I got you.
Flexibility is extremely important in the game.
Thank you.
Anybody else? What else you guys got?
Yeah.
I'm
Chris
ready.
is right here. He's got answers. Give him some questions.
Murphy, I have a question.
Hi.
Hi, it's Hannah. Hold on.
Hey,
I don't know how to turn on my camera. Can you see me?
I can.
Okay. My ankles like still swell up. Is that normal?
After the trauma that you've had to it, yes.
Okay.
So for you, because of the trauma that's existed, some of those pockets that have had the damage on the ligament, still the articulation's off a little bit, and there will be days after activities where that swelling will happen and it'll linger for a few days.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry for that.
It's okay.
Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Anybody
With
else?
with
No.
lift all these, do you recommend like band work too?
Say that, start again, sorry.
Like when lifting to get like to grow strength, do you recommend like the band work too to create resistance on some of these workouts?
Absolutely. Navigating with bands, if you have availability for bands, are great. They can help out and especially work on some of the like proprioceptive stability you have to have when you utilize bands, depending on your activities. But yeah, I mean, if you have access to bands, you have access to free weights, or you just have your body weight, if you have access to a pool, all these things can be done inside those environments. But without a doubt, being able to add resistance to anything that you do can increase the opportunity for strength and power. So without a doubt, bands are awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? You guys got some good questions.
Did we run out of questions?
That's okay too.
That's okay. Dave, did you want to say anything before we close out?
No, I you know, obviously, I think the numbers are pretty good for a Friday night. The information is terrific. You know, I think Chris probably has a working relationship with the majority of the players in here. But, you know, we'll try to get the information from Chris and post the links for anybody just to go there. If they can't, just email Chris. You know, we'll have them up somewhere shortly, probably on our website. But, you know, again, I'll just echo what I started with, which is, you know, unfortunately, we're not out playing and training, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a week right now. But this offers a unique situation to really work on your strength, because very seldom as a youth soccer player do you get so much time off where you can focus just on strength and you're not running and jumping and playing 3 or 4 times a week, you know, for, you know, an extended period of time. We might get a couple weeks off here and there, but, you know, we've had, 4 to 6 weeks off, and we're probably looking at another month. It's a great opportunity to really focus in on strength work. So if you have other questions, I'm sure, about strength work, whether it be core, back, upper body, Chris's email and phone number's up there. Just, you know, contact him. He is a great resource, as is Bobby, who was on last week.
Yeah, Bobby's a rock star.
So that's it. Again, just, you know, I really want to say, you know, I appreciate everybody showing up. I see there's a ton of the 02 and 04 girls, so I appreciate you taking your time again to get involved and to learn. If you don't have a question for Murphy or you have a question for me, obviously you know how to get a hold of us.
Thanks, guys.